Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome home again to our modular construction project out here in New Marlborough, Massachusetts, Berkshire Hills. Last week we put together the modules. Today we're showing you how the skin goes on. We're putting in an Envir shake roof, some cultured stone products, inside a lot of little finish details. Stick around. It's good to have you home again. All right, well, let's get started by talking with our general contractor here, Michael Shields. And the backfilling is the main thing that we were waiting for. Last week, we still had the kind of the hole all around the perimeter of the house.
Yes, we had a lot of rain last week, and we trucked in a lot of sand for the backfill, and we're able to accomplish all our drainage.
So you didn't just push back this kind of the soil that's here. It has a lot of clay.
A lot of clay in the sand, so like I said, we brought in all the sand and got good fill.
Mm-hmm. And that's excellent for drainage. Then you've put in these supports, which are for the pergola detail that's going on out here.
That's the concrete base for the deck, and it's also going to hold up the pergola that's going to have the columns resting on top of them.
Right. Yeah, this traditional porch approach was not going to work here because of the design of the roof overhang, so we won't really have a porch roof. We'll have kind of a pergola.
That's correct.
That can support vines and the like.
Yes.
Did you say you went down 4.5 feet with this thing?
Yeah, the footers for this are down 4 feet.
Wow. And then it wasn't one monolithic pour then?
No, there's two pours. It has steel enforcing coming out of the bottom pour, and then there's a cold joint, and this is another 4.5 feet concrete.
Wow. It's not overkill?
No, we needed to get the base, and we needed to, this is going to be clad with the stone.
Yeah, and it's also the kind of climate that stuff can heave if you don't go the full distance.
Yes.
What have we got here?
That's the base for our front porch. It's all pressure-treated lumber. We use any ground contact or anything that's going to be exposed to the weather.
And how do you fasten it onto the concrete here?
We use lead shields. This is drilled into the concrete and then anchored from the outside.
All right, well, I want to check in with you a little bit later and look at some of the things that have to be done on the inside.
I'll be on the inside.
Thanks,
See you
Michael.
later.
Right now, let's say hi to Brian Eberly from Envir Shake. And you've got a brand new roofing product. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good.
This is not something that we have worked with before. And essentially, it's a shake, but what is it? What's it made out of?
Well, it's made from post-industrial plastics, agricultural fibers such as flax and hemp, and crumb rubber from tires.
Wow. So it's recycling old soda bottles and old automobile tires, and then what's the natural element that you talked about, flax? Or?
Flax and hemp fiber, typically that would be burned or plowed under. We're able to reclaim those fibers and utilize them in the manufacturing process.
Wow. Now, where was this developed?
It was developed in Guelph, Ontario by a chemist by the name of Envir and a tool and die gentleman, that would be Stuart Robertson.
So this is created in a mold?
It was created in a mold, that's correct. It's about 10 years of research to see it to fruition.
Mm-hmm. And what are the advantages of using this over using, a red cedar shake?
The advantage is longevity. It's guaranteed not to warp, crack, blister, peel, flake. It has a 50-year warranty.
50?
50 years.
Wow.
Yes, and it's not prorated. The warranty is transferable from one owner of the home to another. Mm-hmm. The product is maintenance-free once it's applied. So there's no treatments or pre-treatments.
How will it weather?
It starts out a little bit darker in color, and it will go to a lighter gray color, similar to that.
This one is a weathered one?
This is the weathered one, and
I see.
It does lighten up. It looks very similar to 3 to 4 year old silvered cedar.
Okay, because when you put it on, it's pretty black. It looks pretty much like a slate product.
It's quite a bit darker. It's a dark brownish gray color, and it does convert to this natural weathered look of cedar, and it stays that way once it reaches that stage.
And the cost?
The cost is comparable to premium roofing such as steel roofing, shake-like steel roofing, and comparable as well to premium cedar.
But is it made in Canada or in the States?
It's made in Canada and manufactured in Chatham, Ontario. And being as it's the Canadian dollar is a bit of an advantage there, I think, for folks in the States.
Well, it's an interesting product. I want to climb up on the roof and see how it's
Excellent.
installed. Let's say hi to Chris Jackson, who's heading up the installation up here. Boy, it's nice and warm up on the roof. Hi, Chris.
Absolutely. How are you, Bob?
You got your harness on. That's good. How easy is it to install this type of a roofing product?
Actually, the product's fairly easy to install. We follow basically the guidelines of real cedar, which you can nail it by hand, as you can see the guys are doing behind me here, or we can use an actual gun.
What kind of nails?
We use galvanized roofing nails, 1 3/4 on new construction, or we can use 2 inches on brand new construction.
And I noticed, I didn't realize before, I thought they were all uniform in size, but I guess you're splitting them up here so that you can have the look of various different dimensions.
Yes, actually, we have 3 different profiles that we offer. We have a 6/6, and we have a solid 12, and then we have what we call a 4/8.
Now, do you have to,
right through here.
how do you split them? Do you have to use a saw, or do you have to use a knife, or what?
Depending on which part of the roof you're working on. In our valleys, what we do is we can use a handsaw. We just make a template plate on our system, or we have the availability to snap them right like this.
So you can just split them like you would an ordinary wood shingle.
Absolutely.
Do you have to worry in a roof like this, especially with the dark color, about expansion and contraction as it heats up and then cools down?
Actually, our testing methods have allowed us to have very, very minimal expansions, less than 2%. What we do is we have a water test for 72 hours, and what it does is it gains less than 0.08 of a pound.
It's interesting, all this new
Absolutely.
product that's out there. Have you worked with this titanium UDL interwrap product before?
Yes, I have. I've had 2 or 3 different companies use this as their underlayment, as a complete underlayment for the roof system, and it's worked fairly well.
It's very interesting. When we were still at the Simplex plant a couple of weeks ago, we learned a little bit about the product with one of the fellows there. Take a look. All right, Dave. So this is one of the neat things about these modular houses is that the part of the roof will just fold into place.
Yeah, again, that's that great hinge design we talked about earlier.
And instead of putting felt paper like we normally do in many construction projects on the roof, we got something else. This is a new product from Interwrap, and it's called titanium UDL, a synthetic roofing underlayment. What do you know about it?
Well, Bob, the things that we're excited about with it is it's very tear resistant. And
Yeah, it really
the fact is that we're sending boxes down the road and there's a lot of wind sometimes. This is
Yeah.
going to be a great product for us to ship houses
Yeah,
with.
and you use a different kind of nailer with it, don't
Yeah,
you?
this is a really neat gun. If you look at this gun, the gun has the cap built in with the nail. So when they shoot it, it automatically shoots the cap and the nail at the same time.
I think they'd like to have it up
great
there.
tool.
And instead of being 3 feet wide, it's 4 feet wide.
4 feet wide. So again, it saves time.
It saves time. It goes a lot quicker, and it doesn't weigh much. I mean, it doesn't weigh much at all.
It's a great product.
So you were saying it's pretty tear resistant.
Yeah.
And that is a big deal because when you've got a frame up and you're just covering it up with felt, for example, which is really a traditional product, and it's a great product, but high winds can damage it.
And we are shipping this product over the road, and this particular house doesn't have a roof covering going over it, so it's going to be exposed. So
Exactly.
this is going to cut down on any kind of risk for us as far as weather.
Okay. So you're keeping them about a 1/4 inch apart, right?
Yes. I like to have the same consistency as what we have on our keyways.
Yeah.
It looks fairly consistent.
So it's mostly aesthetic.
Absolutely.
So Chris, the placement of the nails is always where in relationship to the shingle before it?
We have on the back here is we have our what we call a nailing strip. It's roughly 1 finger below our definition line.
Right.
And we're pretty consistent across the board through there.
Okay, so that definition line is your guide.
Yes. And then we have our 9-inch exposure line, as you can see through here. That's what we recommend on that. It can be installed at 7 inches and at 9 inches.
At 7 or 9 inches to
correct.
the weather.
That's
yeah,
correct.
Yeah, largely it's about aesthetics too.
Absolutely.
The scale of the roof versus how much exposure you've got. What about the ridge caps that you're putting on there? Can you bend those on the site?
Actually, no, our ridge caps are pre-manufactured right at our factory. What we do is when a customer calls and puts an order in for a specific pitch on his roof, we'll accommodate that with anywhere from a 312 up to a 1612.
We got a 12 pitch here.
We have a 1212 here.
And so you have to specify them. There's absolutely not enough give that you could bend them in the field.
What we do is we take our solid 12 and we put it over top of
Wow, yeah.
a template, and it's bent into place, put through our cooling process, and that's how it comes out.
Hey, one last question. What's the cost of a roof like this?
The price is between $275 and $290 a square.
That's comparable with red cedar.
With actually, it's really, really comparable with red cedar.
Absolutely.
We're right in the exact same ballpark.
Okay, it's an interesting product. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Next, we'll be applying a cultured stone product to the exposed foundation walls. on the back side of the house now. In our house lot, the terrain really slopes. The grade goes down about 15 degrees on the back side, which means that we have a lot of exposed foundation wall. It doesn't look like a concrete foundation because it was Superior Walls prefab foundation. And right now we're installing a new man-made stone from Owens Corning. And let's say hi to Mark Murphy.
Hi, Bob.
Mark, how are you?
Good to see you.
This is looking very good. We've got a crew of 8 guys here, and they're doing a terrific job. What is this particular stone called?
This is a cultured stone from Owens Corning. This is a manufactured product designed to go right on the foundation to create the look that the entire foundation is actually built out of field stone and ledge stone. Yes.
And in terms of the shading and the coloration, it comes real close to some of the boulders that I've got on the lot here.
Absolutely. Very indigenous, Bob, to the area of New England. If you look back and take a look at some of the larger stones.
What's it made out of?
Cultured stone being a manufactured product, it's made out of 3 things. First of all, we take a mold of a natural stone, and what we do is put in Portland cement as the main ingredient. Secondly, we diffuse the weight, Bob, with a product called pumice, which is a volcanic stone to make it lighter.
Right.
And thirdly, we put in mineral oxides, specifically iron oxides, to give it the color that we're looking for.
How do you make it?
We make it in a mold process. We actually extract stones out of the earth. We'd go to a stone quarry and get a series of stones, and then we'd put them out on a large Teflon table after they've been washed and ready to go. And we'd spray them with a fine mist of latex. The latex will actually go into the nooks and crannies and get some of the character of the stone, Bob, so that we can make it look identical to what's out in the field. And then once we've covered the entire table in these stones with this latex membrane, we flip that upside down and we add those 3 ingredients.
So those are your molds?
Exactly. That's really the business.
What are these 2 guys?
These are called clone stones, Bob, and I show these to kind of legitimize the business for folks that don't know what manufactured stone's all about. These are both southern ledge stones. As you look at them, very similar. Nearly impossible to tell the difference.
They look pretty identical.
I'm going to have you try to tell the difference. There's one in one hand.
It's got the coloration
Exactly,
on the same side, but this is clearly a lot heavier.
Considerably heavier.
A lot heavier. Okay, and on the back side you can see where it's been cut.
You notice I didn't show you the clone stones from the back side because of that exact reason.
Very neat. Now let's talk about installation a little bit.
This is our foundation. Brendan's installing, again, a blend of dressed field stone, which would be the larger stones, and then our southern ledge stones throughout. This color here specifically is called Bucks County southern ledge stone and dressed field stone. And we use a type N mortar. Brendan has a type N mortar mixed up right here and back butter the stones and go right up against the foundation.
Now, what is a type N mortar?
Type N mortar mix is what you see here is Portland and mixed with approximately 3 scoopsfuls of sand, and they're your standard application.
It's standard. It's a standard mortar.
Pretty standard, yes.
Now, with this particular type of foundation, you don't have the smoothness of concrete.
Right, exactly. A lot of poured foundations, as you know, are very slippery and non-porous. This particular foundation is ideal for installing cultured stone. As you can see, as you drag your hand across this foundation, very tacky, very porous, ideal for installing.
It's almost like a scratch coat, right?
Perfect.
Now, the actual picking and choosing of the pieces is something that's totally up to Brendan and all his colleagues here. They kind of create the pattern and the design as they go along.
Exactly. That's part of the artistry of masonry work in general. If you take all the stones that we have here, they're all spread out in a work area. The guys will select them as they go along, and just turns out to be a beautiful look and a very artistic imprint that the individual mason can put on the job.
Can you use this indoors?
Regardless of the substrate, Bob, indoors, outdoors does not matter. We can go over block foundation, poured foundation, can go over plywood.
Yeah, the main reason I ask is the weight factor. If it doesn't weigh much, I would think you'd be able to put it on an inside partition and not have to worry about structural loads.
As you can see here at the bottom, we're actually bracing it up just to get our course started, but there's absolutely no need for sill. There's no need for a ledge or any type of angle iron because there's no load bearing at all going on.
I see. So that when it's taken away and we bring the grade up to normal, that'll just sit on grade.
It will sit right on grade, and pretty much everybody that looked at this project would think the entire foundation is actually made out of these stones.
What about the cost, Mark?
The cost, relatively speaking, when cultured stone is installed, is roughly 50% the cost of natural stone.
Interesting. And of course, I suppose that has to do with ease of installation and how fast it can go up.
That's probably the biggest thing, Bob, is these guys you can see working here just busting out an incredible amount of square footage in a short period of time.
Right.
If we were to incorporate natural stone into this equation, labor would just be a killer in terms of time.
And we're going around the corner, and it's coming up real nicely over here. Is there a warranty on this product?
Owens Corning has a 50-year warranty on the product against product failure. So if the product was to disintegrate or anything like that would happen to the product in the field, we would honor a warranty on that.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. Coming up, we'll have a progress report on the interior finishes, including the master bath. So, Michael, is this the first modular house you've ever built?
No, we built several of them.
So you know how to put them together. But basically, people think of a double wide. We've got 4, 2 and 2, and then we got another module there and another one on the other side. And this is what you call the marriage point, right?
That's right.
What's going on here?
The connection of the 2 boxes, we're putting the gusset plates, secure the walls together, and they'll be putting the drywall on top of that.
Now, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 microlams, which are engineered wood products, and they, of course, mean there's really going to be no motion there.
That's correct.
There's a big span, too.
Yes, 18 feet across here, and then we secure the 2 of them with half-inch anchor bolts in between.
Yeah, I can see the bolts up there. And then he's doing essentially the same thing down here on the vertical members.
Yeah, we put the gussets every 16 inches to secure there's no movement in the wall.
Now, what happens with the floor? These get lifted out?
Yeah, this was the temporary wall between the 2 boxes. We'll remove these plates when we're all finished in here, and then just patch in the hardwood flooring that's already been applied on either side.
Yeah, so that this is going to be 30 by 15, I think.
That's correct.
Very good sized living room. Okay, and then the sunroom itself is, you can see the double walls here. It's an additional box.
Yeah, this is another marriage wall.
Another marriage wall. And how has this been attached to the other one?
This is secured at the top and the lower plates, where it's secured at the foundation and at the ceiling height.
Okay. And what is the ceiling height? I mean, are you going to drywall right over these 2x6s?
Oh, no, these are temporary. We're shipping. These will be removed, and then we'll have a vaulted ceiling here. So we'll have insulation, and then the drywall is applied to the rafters above.
Wow. What's the size of the room?
14 by 16.
And the ridge?
That's a 14-inch micro lam, the spanning of the room. Because it's engineered wood, we don't need any collar ties.
So you're going to have one very nice room here with
It's a great size.
Yeah, about an 18-foot high cathedral ceiling.
That's what it is.
So let's take a look at the last independent box, which is the master suite.
Okay.
All right, so the master suite, the actual box was what dimension?
This is 16 by 40.
And it's been divided into master bath and master bedroom.
That's correct.
So this is 16 by what, 20?
Yes.
And I didn't realize that they had put in a, oh, it's a bit of a drop. And the guys are still putting on that beautiful cultured stone down there. But what happens here?
We're going to have a private balcony off of the master bathroom that's going to be 10 by 4.
So it's just a Romeo and Juliet
That's
balcony.
correct.
Nothing doesn't connect.
It's not going to connect to the main deck, no.
Okay. I like the tray ceiling.
Yes, really nice. Makes the room feel a little bigger, much more open.
We saw them making all of these in the factory, but when they all come and get assembled, that's when it really makes the difference.
It really comes together.
Big walk-in over there and huge master bathroom in here. The 4-sided tray, huh? That's very nice.
Yes.
And this business, this detail is very, very interesting also.
Incorporated some paneling in here, make it a little bit more interesting.
Looks like a wainscot.
Yes.
And then we've got Kohler's, his and her vanities, I guess, already in place.
Yes.
And a marvelous bathtub.
Yes.
Was that put in the factory or did that?
This was all installed at the factory, including the tiled floors.
Wow. And no damage on the road, right?
No.
Everything arrived okay.
No, the only thing we're going to do here is grout the floor tile.
And what do you do through these French doors?
This is another deck on the outside that will be 10 by 14.
Overlooking the woods, so
Yes.
plenty of privacy.
Yes.
Privacy would not be an issue.
No.
Okay. We'll be back in a moment with a preview of our next show. Stick around. Come home again next time. We're going to be putting a metal roof up on the main portion of the house, also prefabbed shingle panels, and we're taking you to the Mount, the home of Edith Wharton, which has been gorgeously restored. Till then, I'm Bob Vila. It's good to have you home again. Looking for help on your next project? Visit bobvila.com for everything you need to get the job done right. You'll find Home Again highlights, interactive tools for planning your next project, and helpful how-to articles for every room in your home. bobvila.com, the ultimate home site.